Pro-powered smart speaker and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Yesterday we had this conversation about central banks issuing digital currencies. This is something that is being promoted by the World Economic Forum and central planners across the globe. And, while I'm all for technological innovations and hard currency, this wouldn't be hard currency necessarily. My spider senses are tingling when the World Economic Forum is talking about the wonders, as some have, the Cornell professor, who's a crypto expert in particular, talking about how this would be wonderful because we can look at purchases that people are making and determine whether it's a good purchase and bad purchase, the sort of tracking that we'll have. Now, there are others, though, just strictly from an economic perspective, who argue that crypto replacing the dollar is not something we should be afraid of. Brian Brooks, who is a partner at Valor Capital Group and former comptroller of the currency, argues in the Wall Street Journal, stablecoins are at the heart of a dollar-based revolution happening throughout the developing world. The price, as the name implies, supposed to stay steady, often at $1. And stablecoins, he argues, could bolster the post-war arrangement in which the dollar's dominance helped foster global trade and the biggest reduction in global poverty ever. But it can only happen if Congress implements a sound and stable regulatory framework, which is why he's promoting the work of Republican Congressman Patrick McHenry, who's the House Financial Services Committee chairman. He makes the point, does Brooks, that look, you've got countries moving away from the dollar as the currency that's attended to commercial transactions. In 2000, dollars represented almost 73% of global central bank reserves. Today, that shares around 59%. And, of course, there's a lot of loose talk about the BRIC countries moving away from the dollar and toward the yuan, China's currency, in the not-too-distant future. So how are we to understand this burgeoning move to digital currencies and distinguish between something like a Bitcoin or an Ethereum or one of the cryptocurrencies from something that would be issued by our central bank, by the Federal Reserve, and backed by the full faith and credit of the United States government? And when you're thinking about this and who's promoting it from the position of government-backed digital currency, remember what these minders at the World Economic Forum are also proposing, like the wonderful carbon footprint tracking system. Yeah, that's also on the agenda over at the WEF.
We're developing, through technology, an ability for consumers to measure their own carbon footprint. What does that mean? Where are they traveling? How are they traveling? What are they eating? What are they consuming on the platform? So, individual carbon footprint tracker. Stay tuned. We don't have it operational yet, but this is something that we're working on.
Oh, gee, I can't wait. What could go wrong there? For more on all this, we're pleased to be joined by Don Boudreaux, who's an American economist, author, professor, co-director of the program on the American economy and globalization at the Mercatus Center at George Mason University. Don, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure.
So, I'm sure you're engaged in thinking about this like others in your profession. And where do you come down? What you're hearing from some of those I mentioned affiliated with the WEF as well as more free market oriented guys, like the guy who wrote that op-ed in the Journal.
Yeah. So you said your spidey senses are tingling. Mine are having spasms.
Yeah.
And look, these people at the WEF, and a lot of people high up in national governments, including the U.S. government around the world, their whole shtick is to find ways to control the unruly masses. The people at the WEF, I think they really believe that they're doing humanity a service, but they're not. When you centralize these kinds of decisions, you get rid of competition, you get rid of spontaneity, you get rid of creativity, you certainly get rid of freedom, and that's all to the bad. In the case of currency, for example, we know from history that the best monies that have existed throughout history weren't created by government. They evolved, they emerged spontaneously as people traded and settled upon particular types of commodities to use as money, mostly gold and silver. Government later came along and seized those things and monopolized the money supply. And whenever it did so, it made the money supply less stable. And in doing that, it made prices less reliable. Because when you have government monkeying around with the money supply, entrepreneurs and consumers and workers, they can't trust the prices that they see as well as they can when the money supply is stable.
Right.
So
And
I'm
so,
all in favor of letting crypto emerge, but I do not want it being done by the government. The government should stay out of that.
but this is what's happening. I mean, what you just said, it's history repeating itself as it always does, which is they're on the cusp of trying to monopolize the emerging crypto sector as we move to digital currency. Isn't that what's happening?
Yes, absolutely. And in this case, not only will it make this potential competitor for existing currencies less viable as a competitor. When the government takes over crypto, the result is not going to be a cryptocurrency that will be as good as it would emerge without the government involvement in it. But it will give the government much more control because it's going to have a lot more information about how people spend their money. I'm very uneasy about having the government. Some people think it's a feature that the government will be able to track our expense. That's a bug, in my view. Yes, bad people will do bad things. That'll always be the case. But it will also prevent good people from doing good things that the government doesn't want those people to do. And that kind of control and oversight is very bad. It's the same thing with this carbon footprint
tracker.
Clip that you
nice, yeah.
Tracker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they couldn't even come up with an Orwellian euphemism for it. They just used the word tracker.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so they're going to see how much carbon we emit, depending on whether we eat a vegetarian burger or a real burger, and then you count on it. Punitive taxes are going to be imposed on people who do things that the government and the elites don't like, and subsidies are going to be dispensed to people who do things that the elites and the government do like, and it'll be a way of controlling the spontaneous, individualized actions of millions of Americans, billions of people from around the world. Nothing but bad can come from this kind of central oversight and control. It's very, very frightening.
So one thing that might frighten people, with a cashless society, the government can find out, oh, you bought an assault rifle, or you bought in a magazine extender clip, things like that, don't you think?
Yeah, oh, yeah. And of course, the way this is sold to the public is the people peddling these kinds of schemes. They rightly point out, look, there are bad guys out there, and they're going to, with our system, we'll be able to better track the bad guys. Well, that's true, but again, the government will also be better able to track the good guys. It is not the case, of course, that the government is always on the right side. The government has its own interests, and that interest often includes shutting down and stymieing productive and peaceful actions that private citizens wish to engage in, but that the government finds threatening to its own power. And those kinds of actions are going to be the ones that are really squelched by this kind of oversight.
It's gonna be another selling safety to curtail freedom type of dynamic, right? Because they've been so successful at selling safety to take away freedoms. Why not continue?
Yeah, that's exactly what it will be. And unfortunately, I think a lot of people are gullible enough to swallow this. Oh, well, our overlords will now be able to track what the bad guys are doing, and we can trust our overlords to use that power only to attack and stop genuine bad guys. It would never prevent us from doing the things that we want to do, because it tells us its interest is our interest, and of course that's all a lie.
All right, we've got a little Econ 101 vignette from you. Leonard Reed has his pencil. You have your yo-yo. Tell us about, give us the Econ 101 lesson on collusion, which of course has a negative connotation. Collusion, not with Russians, but economic collusion.
Economic collusion. I mean, even among most economists, collusion has a very bad name. So you and I both produce yo-yos, and we want to keep the price high, so we form a cartel agreement to not cut our prices, and we both stick to it. So consumers wind up paying higher prices for yo-yos, and that seems bad. You can certainly tell a story under which it is bad, but in the real world, we don't know what the best way is over the long run to supply things like yo-yos or pianos or whatever it is. And so my argument that you're referring to is one that says, as long as people engage in peaceful activities, then I think collusion among competitors should be legal. The price will rise if, in fact, the price rises to an inordinate, uncompetitive height. That's going to attract in new competitors and force the price down, and that's good. But if the price rises and it doesn't attract in new competitors, then my presumption is that there must be a good reason why the price must be higher. That price should be higher to maintain the industrial capacity for that particular sector over the long run. We need to allow people to experiment with all sorts of different ways to satisfy consumers, not just introducing new products, not just introducing new ways to cut costs, but introducing new contractual arrangements, such as agreements between competitors. And I much more trust the imperfect, of course, but still very robust competitive market process of entrepreneurs always being on the lookout for profits, consumers being able to say no to offers that they don't like. I trust that process to, over time, discover and stick to the best ways to organize our economic activities. Then I trust government bureaucrats with their textbook formulas to say, oh, this arrangement is good, that arrangement is bad. And because when we rely upon that, upon government, they simply do not have, the officials do not have the capacity to grasp the complexity of this enormously complex economy of which we are a part. So I'm in favor of allowing as much contractual freedom, including the freedom to collude, not the freedom to exclude other people from the industry by using government privileges, but the freedom to agree with fellow competitors to set prices, to set output limits, because I think only then will we get proper proper test of what works and what doesn't.
Econ 101 with Don Boudreaux, American economist, author, professor, co-director of the program on the American economy and globalization at the Mercatus Center at George Mason University as well. Don, also he blogs at cafehayek.com, which is a good blog. Don Boudreaux, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
At Simply Safe, your safety is the only thing that matters. Introducing 24/7 Lifeguard Protection, only from Simply Safe Home Security. Now, monitoring agents can see and speak to intruders through our new indoor camera to help stop crime in real time and for fast police response. Get 20% off any new system with Fast Protect monitoring at simplysafe.com/radio. Advanced home security, 24/7 professional monitoring for less than $1 a day. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
There are more identity threats than you realize. Even if you monitor your credit, only a little personal info needs to leak out, like your social security number or password, for you to become a victim. LifeLock alerts you to threats you could miss. If your identity is stolen, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS. Go to LifeLock.com.
Changing the world, one life at a time.
I've had a high energy level every day, and I've just been doing great. And I just feel like it's a definite advantage to take them. Well, let me just say one other thing. I mentioned to my doctor that I was taking Balance of Nature, and they said they were very positive about that. And they said that was really good. That's a good product. And so I've been very pleased.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Are you a business owner with a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, and a plan for growth, but you just need the right bank? Hi, Mike Gallagher here, letting you know that Signature Bank is all about going the distance for commercial banking customers. It's what Signature Bank does every day. Their team understands that accessibility is key to their culture. In times like these, you want a bank that is there for you to weather the bad times and capitalize on the good. And with Signature Bank by your side, you can't go wrong. It's a true partnership. That's why Signature Bank in Chicago is my bank. That's right. I'm a customer. I believe in what they have to offer, from innovative tech and customized solutions to help your business grow and thrive. Reach out to my friends at Signature Bank. Call 773-467-5630, 773-467-5630, or visit them online at signaturebank.bank. That's signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank makes commercial banking personal. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
There are more than 50 million people enslaved in the world today. Most of them are women and children.
They lock you in cellars or in rooms with no windows. 95% of girls that are born in the brothels remain trapped in the brothels for the rest of their lives.
SOS International is working to make freedom possible for these women and kids. And with your help, today can be the day another victim comes into freedom.
By the hundreds, we are saving those girls and bringing them to a secure place, a place that is a safe home for them to grow in.
Just $150 makes freedom possible for a trafficking victim. It provides shelter, food, counseling, everything they need to start a new life. Make freedom possible now. Visit 560theanswer.com/SOS. Every day that goes by is another day of suffering and abuse. But you can change it now. You can make today the day of freedom and rescue. Learn how you can bring freedom now at 560theanswer.com/SOS. Lots of channels, nothing to watch, especially if you're looking outside of big corporate control. It's time to interrupt your regularly scheduled programs with something worth watching. The new Salem News Channel. Straightforward, unfiltered, in-depth insight and analysis from the greatest collection of conservative minds, all in one place. SNC is home to Dennis Prager, Mike Gallagher, Sebastian Gorka, and more. Watch anytime on any screen. Free 24/7. Find what you're looking for at snc.tv. AM 560, The Answer.
Amy, I know you said you want to see the Barbie movie. You haven't yet.
Yes, I can't wait.
I've got the perfect opportunity for you. It's a bit of a travel, but I think it's worth it because it'll be a sort of a discreet crowd.
Yeah, I don't mind.
In a small venue.
Okay.
So you'll have a nice movie going experience.
I'm just gonna go by myself since I'm all alone.
No. Here, well, this
Okay.
is the other thing.
All right.
I'll allow you to bond with and make some new friends. Let me introduce you to the woman organizing this Barbie outing. And this is important to her because it's the first time she's left her house in 3 years. So there are certain stipulations, certain accommodations, certain precautions she's taking.
Wow, a COVIDian, huh?
And again, good seats still available.
Next week, which is July 31st, August 1st, someday next week on a weekday, I am renting out a theater in Northwest Portland. The entire theater, the whole theater. The theater seats 46 people, I think.
Okay.
We're only going to do 20 tickets. So me and 19 other people. That's it. In addition to that, there will be one employee. So the entire building, the entire cinema, is going to be one employee plus 20 attendees. That's
real.
it. We are the only people in the building, and every single person, including that employee, is going to be wearing an N95 the entire time.
No.
The employee's going to put it on before they enter the building. They've been chosen specifically for this purpose. They seem to get it. If you show up because you bought a ticket, I need to see a KN94 well-fitted, or a 95 well-fitted, or a P100. And if I see a baggy mask, I'm going to tell you to take it off and put on one that I hand you. I'm holding onto a bunch of masks. Choose the one you like best. There are no concessions during the movie. They're not even going to open it up. Do not bother bringing food or drinks. You may not take your mask off in the movie. If you need to scratch your nose or you need to take a sip of water, you need to get up, exit the theater, do that, and then come back. They're going to be medically fragile people there. This is their first opportunity in like 3.5 years, so we are not fucking around here, folks. No kids can't wear a mask solidly for 2 hours. Like, I'm not going to do little kids because I don't blame them, but it is what it is. This is going to be a morning showing. We are the first people in the building, so we will be in and out well before any other employees or other people show up for the showings. The building will have had a chance to clear the air from the night before. And also, they upgraded their filtration over the past 3 years, and they just had an inspection June 26th, their quarterly inspection, and changed out all of their MERV filters. So they're in a pretty good spot. It's going to be $20 to $25 a person. All I'm doing is covering the cost. That's it. So I will refund any overages. It is a risk. I don't know how else to put that. It is definitely a risk to be in a building for 2 hours. Makes me anxious.
God, stay home.
But I feel like it's a measured risk and one I'm willing to take. And if there are more cautions that we could take, definitely let me know. But if you want to go, hit the comments, let me know, and I'll be in touch. I'll get in touch with you over DM, and we will make it work.
She's run the traps on this, so I think
I want to go
the
just
bases covered.
I want to go just to rip her mask off her face.
She's got
or just take it off and start coughing. These people that's a mental illness right there. But she's doing it for Barbie. But don't. I mean, obviously, people are going to be 6 feet apart.
She's being honest about the risks. So it's up to you. But risk of being in a building for 2 hours watching a movie with 19 other people. But it's just a reminder who we turn the country over to.
There you go. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Better to Bach or Toto the homeless? That's the big question at 7:37.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
7:31, 65 degrees. Areas of heavy and dense fog, reducing visibility. Some areas a quarter mile or less this morning. We're tracking Moscow this morning as Russian officials say air defense sirens have gone off and air defense systems have shot down at least 2 drones heading toward Moscow for the second straight day. The attack reported this morning apparently disrupted flights at international airports. At least 36 have died in the Lahaina fire in Hawaii. Maui County writing in a statement